She says she wants honesty. She says she wants connection. But deep down, what she craves is a man who doesn't flinch, a man she can never fully figure out. Every time you explain yourself, every time you try to prove you care, you lose her a little more. You've been told your whole life to be nice, to be open, to be emotionally available. But if that's true, why are the men who give her the world the ones she always leaves behind? She doesn't want you to open your soul. She wants to feel your presence. If you're tired of walking on eggshells, tired of apologizing for your masculinity, and tired of never being enough, keep listening. Because what I'm about to tell you will shake every belief you've ever had about women, and it'll set you free. If you're a man living in today's world, you've been lied to since you could walk. You've been trained to play the role of the emotional sponge, the approval-seeking pleaser, the backup option. You've been conditioned to believe that if you're just good enough, if you're kind enough, if you just show her how much you care, she'll finally love you back. But what has that really gotten you? Heartbreak, confusion, silent treatment, rejection, emotional chaos. Every guy watching this has been in that space where you thought doing more would fix everything. More gifts, more apologies, more compliments, more being understanding. But none of it worked. She didn't want more effort. She wanted more certainty. She didn't leave because you didn't do enough. She left because you weren't him. The man she respects, the man she dreams about, the man she fears losing. And that man, he doesn't ask for her approval. This isn't about disrespecting her. This is about respecting yourself. Today we're diving deep into 6 realities about women that most men never understand. 6 unspoken truths that, if you master, will transform how every woman sees you. From now on, you will be the man she never forgets. You will be the one who sets the tone. You will be the one she respects, desires, and follows, because you lead with purpose, not desperation. By the end of this video, you'll stop chasing her and start chasing your potential. You'll stop bending for love and start becoming undeniable. Comment, "I am done chasing" below if you're ready to reclaim your life and your power. Number 1. Women are drawn to mystery. She will never crave what she fully understands, and the moment you become emotionally transparent, constantly available, or endlessly explain yourself, she no longer feels the pull toward you. She feels predictability, and with predictability comes emotional death. The reason why she fantasizes about the man she can't read, why she can't stop thinking about the guy who didn't text back right away, isn't because she loves being hurt. It's because uncertainty is attraction, and mystery triggers the primal part of her psychology that keeps her invested, intrigued, and hungry for more. And if you're a man who lays everything out in the open with the intention of creating intimacy, understand that you're unintentionally pouring water on the fire of desire, because you're confusing closeness with depth, and she doesn't crave closeness unless she respects your edge. You must never over-explain yourself, never make your thoughts and feelings a daily podcast. Never try to seek emotional security by dumping all your vulnerabilities in her lap, like it's her job to hold your soul. Because it's not her job, and deep down she doesn't want it to be. She wants a man who can shoulder his own storms, who can walk through fire with silence in his eyes, who can speak when necessary, but speaks like every word costs gold. And that doesn't mean being emotionally unavailable or distant. It means being emotionally self-contained, which is the essence of Stoicism and the foundation of masculine energy that attracts not just her attention, but her respect, her admiration, and her submission to your presence. You must stop trying to be understood by her. Stop trying to get her to see your side. Stop needing her to agree with your logic before you stand on it. Because the man she wants to follow is the man who believes in his own decisions without checking her emotional weather first. When she senses that your mood, your self-worth, your peace are dependent on her approval or her reactions, she instantly loses her sense of safety around you, not because you're a bad man, but because your center is unstable, and she cannot emotionally surrender to a man who doesn't feel emotionally grounded. Mystery isn't silence for silence's sake. It's depth, it's control, it's the rare quality of not needing external validation to feel whole. And the more you reveal everything you're thinking, everything you're planning, every single emotion that crosses your chest, the more predictable you become, and the more predictable you are, the less she needs to feel anything toward you, because you've left nothing to wonder about. You want to master the art of attraction. You must speak when necessary, but don't fill silence to soothe your own discomfort. When she's emotional, don't try to fix her pain with words. Let your calmness be her anchor. When she's probing for what's on your mind, don't vomit your entire mental diary. Share your truth, but hold back the full symphony. And when you feel the urge to validate yourself by being understood, remind yourself that real men are built to be felt, not dissected. Develop a deep relationship with solitude. Spend time alone mastering your thoughts, because when you're constantly stimulated, distracted, or dependent on others for clarity, you become reactive instead of reflective. And a man who reacts loses control of his presence. Journal, not to complain but to understand yourself. Train your body, not for aesthetics but for discipline. Read, not for escape but for wisdom. Meditate, not to be calm but to master your mind. And build a life that's so rich in meaning, direction, and purpose that you don't need her to get you to validate your existence. Because the paradox is, once you stop trying to be seen, you become unforgettable. In conversation, eliminate filler words, hold your tone steady, and make every word carry weight. In behavior, delay gratification, say no to chaos, and reward what aligns with your vision. And in relationships, lead with quiet confidence, not performative vulnerability, because she doesn't fall in love with explanations. She falls in love with certainty, and certainty is born in a man who trusts his direction more than he fears her distance. If you feel yourself slipping into validation-seeking behaviors, if you find yourself texting just to check in, explaining yourself to avoid conflict, or oversharing to earn her emotional loyalty, stop immediately and remind yourself that you are not here to be chosen by her. You are here to live a life so magnetic that she wants to choose you without needing to be convinced. The world will tell you to be open, be expressive, be transparent, but what they won't tell you is that most men are drowning in emotional exposure, bleeding truth all over the wrong people, and thinking it's maturity when it's actually a loss of frame. What she truly wants, what every high-value woman is silently praying for in a man, is a presence that doesn't waver when she's emotional, a direction that doesn't change when she's uncertain, a boundary that doesn't move when she challenges it, and a man who can be strong enough to hold her fire without burning out his own flame. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about holding your power. It's about being so rooted in your own value, in your own mission, in your own inner world, that she feels like every time she's near you, she's discovering another level of you she hasn't seen yet. And that's what keeps her invested. That's what keeps her loyal. That's what keeps her looking at you with wide eyes instead of bored glances. So don't try to be her emotional diary. Be the fire she can feel across the room. Be the presence that walks into a space and doesn't have to say a word to change the energy. Be the man who speaks only when he must, acts only when it matters, and who lives with such fierce intentionality that your life itself becomes the mystery she can't stop thinking about. And if you want to become that man, start by subtracting the noise from your life, mastering your impulses, choosing stillness over oversharing, and living a life so compelling that your silence becomes the loudest part of you. Stop proving, start becoming. Stop chasing, start creating. Stop explaining, start embodying. She doesn't want to hear who you are, she wants to feel it. So build the man she respects, not through volume, but through power. And remember this, the man who can hold his truth without broadcasting it, that's the man she'll never forget. Number 2, emotional control is power. A woman will never fully trust the man who cannot trust himself under pressure, and no amount of words, affection, gifts, or effort will ever replace the security she feels in a man whose reactions don't own him, because she doesn't measure your strength by how loudly you speak or how passionately you argue, but by your ability to stay composed, grounded, and calm in the moments where lesser men break. When she's emotional, when she's distant, when she's irrational, she doesn't need your explanations. She needs your energy to remain still, not cold, but steady like stone, because that's what emotional control is. Not suppressing how you feel, but having power over when and how those emotions show up. And most men have no clue how deeply this affects attraction, how every outburst, every moment you crumble under pressure, every attempt to explain yourself or beg for understanding chips away at her respect until there's nothing left but tolerance. And that's why your first duty as a man is to train for the battle inside. Because if you can't stand firm when she tests you, and she will test you, then you're not a man she can trust. And those tests aren't conscious, they're biological. They come from something ancient inside her, something that says, can this man handle me? Can he hold me without losing himself? Can he stay centered when I can't? And when you fail that test by reacting, yelling, over-explaining, or folding, she loses attraction not because she's cruel, but because your energy is no longer safe. It's no longer a sanctuary. It's a reflection of her own chaos. And no woman wants to date herself emotionally. She wants the man who can remain calm even when she's not. And to become that man, you have to train, not just mentally, not with affirmations or mantras or scrolling through motivational videos, but with action, with friction, with resistance. Wake up earlier than you want to. Take cold showers that you dread. Lift weights that make you hate the moment. Not for muscles, but for mastery. Because the man who forces discipline into his body will carry discipline in his mind. And every rep under the bar, every ignored craving, every morning you rise without the snooze button is a vote cast in favor of your future self, because it builds a man who can feel frustration without lashing out, who can feel hurt without demanding comfort, who can feel fear without losing direction. And women can sense that, not in your words, but in your aura, in your breath, in your eyes, especially in conflict, where most men panic, retreat, or explode. You will be the one who holds eye contact without raising your voice, who says less, not more, who breathes deeper instead of speaking faster, who doesn't react but responds, and that response is rarely dramatic. It's often a calm, "I'm not okay with that," or "we'll talk when things calm down," or simply walking away, not to punish, but to protect the power you've built. And when you master this, her attraction doesn't just grow, it transforms from curiosity to craving, because now you've become the one man she cannot shake. And that's rare, because almost every man around her is a slave to validation, desperate to prove his feelings, thinking that emotional transparency is romantic when in reality it's reckless if it lacks structure. And structure is what you provide when you choose peace over panic, direction over drama, restraint over reaction, and make no mistake. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being assertive without being aggressive. It means knowing that real strength is calm, and calm is not weakness. It is the loudest form of confidence. And this isn't just about her, it's about you. Because every time you let emotions take the wheel, you crash your own self-respect. And every time you hold your frame, you build a man who can't be moved by cheap highs, petty fights, or emotional bait. And over time, you realize that emotional control isn't just a skill. It's your shield, your weapon, your code. It's what separates the men who lead from the boys who chase. And as you build this control, not by talking about it but by living it daily, through training, restraint, consistency, boundaries, you will see your world change, not just with women, but with business, respect, peace, power, and presence. And the reward for this transformation is not applause, it's silence. Because no one will cheer for your restraint, but they will feel it, and that's all that matters. Number 3, you must lead or she'll leave. Because the truth most men refuse to accept is that leadership isn't optional. It's oxygen in a relationship. And if you don't breathe life into direction, structure, and certainty, she will suffocate under the weight of having to lead herself, and she'll never say it out loud. She may not even consciously realize it, but over time, she'll pull away because she doesn't want to mother the man she desires. She doesn't want to guide the hand that should be guiding her. She doesn't want to constantly ask, "What do you want to do?" and hear, "Whatever you want," because that doesn't feel like partnership. It feels like pressure, and pressure to lead when she's craving to feel safe is the fastest way to kill the polarity that once drew her in. And leading doesn't mean controlling her. It means controlling yourself so deeply, so intentionally, that you no longer second-guess every step, every plan, every decision. Because when you lead yourself, you give her something to trust, and that trust becomes the space where her femininity can breathe, where she doesn't have to be on edge, scanning for signs of weakness, or constantly adjusting to fill your indecision. And most men think leading is about making big speeches or planning elaborate dates. But leadership begins in your lifestyle. It begins the moment you stop waking up without a mission, when you stop living in reaction and start operating with vision. And that vision isn't a fantasy. It's your future, built on discipline, action, and values. You do not compromise, not for her, not for anyone. Because when you lead with values, you stop being moved by moods. And when you say no, you mean it. Not because you're rigid, but because you're rooted. And she feels that, especially when she challenges it, because she will. She'll push, she'll resist, she'll question your path not to sabotage it, but to see if it's real. And if you fold, if you change course every time she doubts, you lose her faith in you. And once that's gone, attraction fades like steam in the cold. And the only way to keep it burning is to keep leading. And to do that, you have to stop outsourcing your confidence to her approval. You have to start making choices based on what's right, not what's easy. And that begins with small daily wins. Get up earlier than her, plan your week with purpose, choose where to go, what to do, how to live with clarity, and if she asks what the plan is, have one, even if she doesn't like it. Because she's not looking for agreement, she's looking for direction. And direction doesn't come from people pleasing. It comes from purpose, and purpose requires sacrifice. It means sometimes you'll choose the gym over her comfort. Sometimes you'll say no to late nights because you're building something. Sometimes you'll walk away from an argument because you value peace over proving your point. And the more you do this, the more you stack days of discipline, the more you become undeniable. Not because you demand respect, but because you embody it, and she follows that energy. Not because she's weak, but because you've made it safe for her to trust your lead. And if she doesn't want to follow, that's okay too. Because leadership also means letting go of what doesn't align with your path. It means not shrinking to keep her around. It means saying, "This is where I'm going, you're welcome to come, but I won't stop moving." And that alone will separate you from every other man she's ever met. Because most men don't move unless she approves. And a man who only walks when she gives permission isn't a man at all. He's a passenger. And she didn't fall in love to sit in the driver's seat. She fell in love to relax into your direction, to be a complement to your conviction, not the cause of it. So stop asking her to guide you, stop hesitating, stop pretending that waiting for her opinion makes you thoughtful. It doesn't. It makes you forgettable, and forgettable men never lead, they orbit, and she doesn't want to be the center of your universe. She wants to see that you've built one of your own and invited her into it. And if she can see your kingdom, feel your clarity, and trust your strength, she will follow, not because she's been convinced, but because she feels compelled. And that's the kind of leadership that lasts, not through manipulation, not through dominance, but through consistency, direction, presence, and purpose. Lead with your life, not your lips, and watch everything change. Number 4. Approval. Seeking is weakness. The moment you seek her approval, you hand over your soul in exchange for scraps of attention she'll never respect, because nothing kills a woman's desire faster than a man who needs her to tell him he's enough. And you may think you're being considerate, emotionally aware, a good partner. But if you're constantly looking at her after every joke, every decision, every sentence with those unspoken eyes asking, "Was that okay? Do you still want me?" You've already lost, because desire cannot live in a man who is unsure of himself. And the modern world has made men believe that validation equals connection, but it doesn't. It equals dependence, and dependence is the enemy of attraction. And what you don't realize is that every time you explain yourself when it wasn't required, every time you apologize just to avoid discomfort, every time you backtrack your truth because it made her frown, you train her to see you as unsure, and she can't follow what isn't firm. She can't respect what needs reassurance. She can't open to a man who treats her reactions like commandments. And if that's you, if you keep trying to win her over by giving her more of your soul while asking for nothing in return, you will always be the one who ends up confused, heartbroken, and disposable, not because you're bad, but because you're too accessible. And in her world, anything too accessible is too expendable, and this is where Stoicism comes in. Not the Instagram version where you quote Marcus Aurelius, but then break down when she doesn't text back, but the lived embodiment of true masculine stillness, which says, "I don't need her to clap when I speak because it aligns with who I am." And this doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you've made peace with being misunderstood. It means your validation comes from effort, excellence, integrity, the small, sharp habits you repeat daily without recognition. And that might look like putting in work at your job that no one sees yet, showing up at the gym when your body aches, keeping your word when it's inconvenient, and speaking your truth when silence would be easier, because real men don't chase applause, they chase alignment. And the moment you stop asking for her approval, everything shifts, not because you become cold, but because you become whole, and she will feel it immediately. The space you once filled with neediness now becomes mystery, presence, gravity, and she'll be drawn in without knowing why, because now you're not trying to impress her, you're trying to improve you. And when she sees that, her attraction becomes respect, and respect is the foundation of love, because women can't love men they don't admire, and they can't admire men who seek permission to lead, to speak, to be. And if you're struggling to break this pattern, stop looking to her for permission to change. Act, upgrade your environment, audit your circle. Leave behind any space where you're tolerated and not celebrated, because approval seeking doesn't just show up in relationships, it shows up in every area of your life where you shrink to be accepted. And if you want to kill this tendency for good, challenge yourself to do things that expose you to rejection without fear. Speak up in a meeting without double-checking. Ask for the raise you earned. Start the business they said you couldn't. Go out solo and own the room with your energy alone. And as you collect these wins, small or large, your confidence compounds, and you stop needing applause because your life becomes proof that you're worthy. And when your energy says, "I know who I am," she stops questioning it too. And if she doesn't, you don't beg. You walk, not with bitterness, but with the calm certainty of a man who knows that the right woman isn't the one who tolerates him. It's the one who recognizes the man who doesn't wait to be chosen. And that takes us directly to the next truth. Because once you've built a life where your validation is internal, you have to stop accepting roles where you're an option. Number 5, never be the option. Because if she doesn't see you as the priority, you're already the placeholder, and no amount of trying, texting, chasing, explaining, or pleasing will change that. Because once she knows you'll always be there no matter how she treats you, she stops valuing your presence and starts resenting it. And you may not understand why she pulled away when you were doing everything right. But the truth is, you were too available, too predictable, too ready to forgive, and too desperate to be kept. And when a man starts acting like he needs her more than oxygen, he becomes a burden, not a choice. And this is where most men fall into emotional slavery, constantly waiting on her text, reading between the lines, losing sleep over emojis. And you need to hear this with absolute clarity. If she's hot and cold, if she's inconsistent, if she flakes and expects forgiveness without correction, and you still show up, still prove your love, still try harder, then you are the option. And that is a position no man should ever accept, because once you accept being second, you'll never be first again, and she'll know it, she'll feel it, and deep down, so will you. And this isn't about punishing her or playing games. It's about reclaiming your dignity, and dignity doesn't chase, it replaces. And you do that not by waiting for her to change, but by becoming so deeply aligned with your standards, your time, your value, that anyone who doesn't match it either levels up or leaves. And to get there, you have to stop needing her to pick you. You have to pick yourself so loudly, so consistently, that your energy says, "I'm the prize," without ever having to say it. And that doesn't mean arrogance. It means actions. It means cutting off conversations that go in circles, walking away from flakiness, refusing to tolerate disrespect disguised as independence, and making your life so full that she has to fight for a place in it. Not because you're trying to make her chase, but because you're too focused on building, creating, training, leading, and winning to entertain half-effort connections. And when she sees that she doesn't own your time, she'll start to earn your presence. And when she realizes that you're not emotionally dependent on her affection, she'll start to respect your standards. And this only works if you're willing to enforce it, because talk means nothing without action. And if you say you won't tolerate something, then tolerate it. You become the man who trains her to treat you like an option. So stop doing that. Stop being emotionally available when she's not physically present. Stop investing energy where you're getting breadcrumbs. Stop rearranging your schedule for people who don't respect your time, and instead, direct that energy into yourself. Sign up for the class, launch the brand, hit the iron hard, build your body like it's your armor, and expand your mind like it's your weapon, because the stronger you get, the less you need from her, and the less you need, the more power you have, and that power doesn't make you careless. It makes you selective, because now you've earned the right to choose. And when a man has options, he doesn't act out of scarcity. He acts from abundance. And abundance doesn't mean you have to juggle women. It means you have the self-worth to wait for the one who recognizes yours without needing a reminder. And the moment you stop accepting less, everything around you shifts. Your posture changes, your tone deepens, your presence expands, and she feels it. And the ones who weren't serious fade, while the one who's aligned gravitates. Not because you chased her, but because you chased purpose, and purpose made you magnetic. So from this day forward, if you ever feel like an option, choose to disappear, not to manipulate, but to elevate, because a man who values himself doesn't argue to be chosen. He walks to where he's respected, and he never, ever looks back. Number 6, purpose over pleasure. There comes a moment in every man's life when he looks around at everything he's done, everything he's tolerated, everything he's chased, and realizes that none of it filled the hole inside him, because the attention, the affection, the pleasure, it never lasts. It fades faster than it arrives, and he's left emptier than before, more dependent, more distracted, more lost. And that moment is terrifying if you're not grounded in something bigger, and this is where most men fail, not because they're not capable, but because they've been conditioned to live for pleasure, to chase the next high, to pursue the next validation, to find meaning in the fleeting affection of someone who never even understood their soul. And what they don't realize is that this pursuit kills their masculinity. It destroys their discipline. It silences their potential, because you cannot be at your strongest while being a slave to comfort. And this is why purpose matters, not as a motivational slogan, but as the oxygen to your masculine fire. Because when a man finds purpose, everything else becomes clear. His distractions lose their power. His temptations lose their grip. His emotions find balance, and the drama he used to attract becomes boring, because he's now lit from the inside. And to truly live in purpose, you have to first disconnect from the idea that your value comes from how many women want you, how many likes you get, how many compliments you collect, because that mindset makes you a puppet, not a force. And instead, you must build something, a body that intimidates your excuses, a mind that solves problems others run from, a life that demands discipline before it demands approval. And most men try to do this backwards. They want the lifestyle before the lifestyle wants them. They want the car, the girl, the peace, but they skip the pain, the grind, the sacrifice. And you can't shortcut your way to purpose. It's earned in the moments no one sees. The 5 a.m. workouts when your body begs you to sleep. The nights alone grinding your craft while others party. The rejections you eat with a straight face because you know they're building resilience, not regret. And when you live like this, consistently, intentionally, everything changes. Not just your confidence, but your aura, aurora, your standards, your peace. And suddenly, women don't just notice you, they wonder what world you're building without them, because you've stopped orbiting around them. And that shift is everything, because attraction isn't about having charm, it's about having direction. And when a woman sees that your time is precious, that your presence is earned, not freely given, she feels something ancient, respect. And that respect becomes attraction, and that attraction becomes devotion, not because you begged for it, but because you embodied what she craves without even trying. And this only happens when you live for something that isn't her. When your mission is so real, so structured, so painful at times, that you simply don't have the energy to chase dopamine anymore, because now you're chasing greatness. And greatness has a cost. It costs you comfort, it costs you casual sex, it costs you wasted weekends, it costs you mediocre friends. And yes, it even costs you some relationships. But it gives you everything you've been silently starving for: clarity, strength, purpose, and most importantly, self-respect. And that is the real reward. Not the lifestyle, not the validation, but waking up every day and knowing you're living life on your own terms. And no one, not even her, can take that away from you. Because now you're no longer the man who needs a woman to feel masculine. You're the man who is so deeply masculine that he elevates everyone around him. And that shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you get brutally honest with yourself about what you've been running from, about the ways you've sold yourself out for quick pleasure, about the goals you've abandoned, the body you've neglected, the skills you've delayed learning. And you take that pain, not to wallow in it, but to weaponize it, to turn it into fuel, into fire, into forward motion. And the more you lean into that fire, the stronger you become. And yes, it will be lonely at times, but loneliness in pursuit of greatness is peace compared to the company of people who keep you mediocre. And the man who accepts that trade-off is unstoppable, because he no longer fears being alone. He fears being average, and that fear keeps him sharp, keeps him focused, keeps him disciplined, because now he knows that his life is not about pleasure. It's about presence, progress, and legacy. And when he shows up with that energy, that leadership, that fire in his eyes that says, "I don't need you, I'm building something with," or without you, women notice. Not because you said the right thing, but because you've become the thing she didn't even know she needed. And now your purpose has made you irresistible, not by force, but by frequency, by energy, by presence. And the world bends to that kind of energy, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. And in a world full of boys chasing likes and lust, you've become the rare man chasing meaning. And she'll feel that before you ever open your mouth. She doesn't want you to be perfect. She wants to feel you're unshakable, not because you silence her, but because you no longer silence yourself. And when you walk in purpose, rooted in direction, power, control, and vision, she can finally rest in your presence. Not because you chased her, but because you became the man who no longer needs to. And everything you've just heard isn't about tips or tactics. It's about returning home to the man you were always meant to be. The man who leads, not follows, who moves, not reacts, who chooses peace over validation and purpose over pleasure. Because when you stop chasing her, you start attracting everything that aligns with your power, and the world opens not when you beg, but when you build. So from this moment forward, no more explaining, no more waiting, no more doubting, just action. And if this hit your soul, if even one sentence cracked your old identity and exposed the man you could be, then say it, own it, comment it loud. I am done chasing. Like, share, subscribe, and never settle again for average, for begging, for less than you deserve.